Hello and welcome to another episode of ZenChats. I'm Zeneca and I'm here with Mikey Ahdoot, the founder of Habit Nest, a really wonderful, established, successful Web2 company, Web2 brand that deals with habit building, journals, fitness journals, an app, all sorts of things in the wellness, productivity, learning space, and coming out with an NFT project called the Phoenixes. Well, we're going to get into it and ask Mikey to explain it all, but it's like a learn to earn mechanics. It's this really interesting project that I think is bringing real utility and real value to holders backed by this established company, Habit Nest. But before we get into that, hello, welcome. Thanks for being here. How are you?
Hey Zen, I'm doing good. We were talking this pre-roll thing, and I was like, man, it's been chaos, like full chaos before Mint, and that's exactly how I feel. But like grounded and fired up at the same time, and like I can't wait to get into this talk.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, we're about, I think, 2 weeks out from your mint date you were mentioning.
Yep.
From the time this is released, it'll be, I'm sure, sooner. But before we get into that, I'd love if you can just give I call it the origin story. Like, what were you pre-NFTs? What were you up to? And then how did you get into this space and get to where you are now?
Cool. So I'll give you my origin story a bit with like this whole world of Habit Nest and what we're making. But I graduated college and I was going through like a period where I knew I could do so much more. And I ended up painting all of my walls with this whiteboard paint. And I drew this like 8-foot wide calendar that you're seeing here. And I was like, dude, my mentality was just like, let me invest in myself and make myself better. I'm like a productivity nerd and I'm very much about like potential. So I want to like create a system that's way more effective in happiness and creating things and creativity, everything. And this seemed like such a cool way to do that. So I'm like, okay, let me just make this the biggest focus of my life. And this started as an experiment, and it started with like 2 rows basically. And this is after maybe like, I think this is 8 months in because I started in January. I was just going nuts on like tracking different parts of my life.
I love it.
This became my life. I mean, it didn't take 10 hours a day. It took maybe like 1.5, 2 to do most of these because so many of them are short. But just having these like guiding factors it completely changed my life. And then I realized this was so damn hard to do. And even looking at this, like I was not perfect by any means. There's a bunch of X's if you're looking closely and dashes and all this stuff. But I learned so much doing this and it completely changed who I was. I got in really good shape. I learned so much. I like grew as a person. And I knew that this is something that's so integral to living a happy life for many people. And there was no real system to like do this. I'm the type of person where I don't like going and figuring out a whole way to do something, especially when it's difficult. Like just tell me what to do and I'll show up and I'll do it and I'll give it my all. And there's no product. I couldn't find any products out there that help with habit building. Yes, there's books, podcasts, videos, but there's no like systemized structure. And that goes for like the whole of habit building. There's some now, but even then, nothing was specific. So
when was this? Like what year?
This was like 2015 it started, and then 2016 came up with the idea of Habit Nest, which is let's make building life-changing habits way simpler and way easier. But we started out doing a Kickstarter for a physical book. Our first thought was doing an app, but we're like, there's a million apps out there. Let's do something that's different. And we began with these like printed books, and I'm holding up our sleep hygiene journal.
I love it. Purple, I approve. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I picked it specially here. But the way we structured everything was, okay, let's give educational content every day, different tips, challenges, ways to learn. So it's fun. You're like learning. But it's not too much. And then pair it with action and accountability. So you're not just reading, you actually have the next page to implement this into your life and craft it as part of your daily lifestyle. And the idea is by the end of this journey, you will have built in so much repetition and learning and ideas. You learn what clicks for you because everyone is different and there is no cookie cutter. But my approach and our team's approach is let's throw the best concrete steps for you to try. So this ended up working out really well. We saw like way crazier success than we were expecting. We sold, to date now, it's been 5 years. We sold 500,000 journals. We broke 10 million in sales. We won the #1 small business on all of Amazon, which was nuts. We were like, holy crap. So that was awesome. And man, just the stories I hear from people are insane. And I'm like, you deserve 99.9% of this credit because all we did is kind of give you a match. But like, holy crap, man, everything from people taking the base ideas and using it to like quit smoking. We've had many cancer battlers, survivors use this and said it made a big difference in their lives. People from prisons using it and seeing huge changes. Lots of everyday people seeing crazy just changes from something really simple. But like, it just became a magnet of focus, I think, for these people to make it a simple process. And I'm like so proud. So it's been, you asked me my origin story.
Yeah,
and that's kind of where
it's amazing. And I can only imagine just that feeling of like to have set in motion this thing that's changing people's lives. It's just, it's such a powerful thing. Like occasionally I get a bit of that, you know, in this space, someone reaches out and says, oh, something you wrote that helped me. And it's just such a phenomenal, heartwarming, humbling feeling. And I can only imagine, given how many journals you've sold and how many lives you've affected, it's got to feel great.
Thank you, dude. I just, as a side note, I look up to you so much. And like, I learned just watching you in this space because you are incredibly empathetic and down to earth, and like you humanize the space, and it's missing, and it's really, really special.
I appreciate it.
And I just want to give you like major applause because it's not easy to have 5 million things on your plate and do that.
Thank you.
I hope you're really proud.
I appreciate it, but let's get back to you. I really do appreciate you saying that, and the feeling is very mutual. I look up to you as well. Just, you know, this time over the last several months getting to know you, it's, you know, there's a lot of respect I have for everything you've done and what you're doing and your sort of approach into the NFT space. And so maybe let's get into that and how.
I'd love to talk about that. So I was in. I bought ETH in like 2017, and I just loved the tech and where it was going, but it was too early then. But I was just watching on the sidelines, and this year we took all of our physical books and created a mobile app from them. So we launched it this year. It's live on the App Store. It's called the Habit Nest app. But this whole time, I just saw so much potential of the NFT space and plugging it into existing products and ecosystems and bringing value to that whole world. And that thought has not been able to leave my mind for the last like year. So we had this thought of like, I guess it came from seeing Axie Infinity and creating a play to earn mechanism. And that had its own issues because, you know, with like inflating supply and everything, just the idea that by participating in something, you're able to be rewarded, I think is a really powerful thought. And I've been seeing in the space a lot of, I guess, problems or attempts at addressing that. And that comes from, I approach things from the very startup-y mentality of like, I want to find the problems and then fix them because I don't want to waste time building things that isn't going to be used. Yeah. So there's been being really active in this space for the last year and minting and participating. I've seen 3 main problems for projects. The first is that there's this scattered sense of attention where when people launch, everybody's there, it's on your timeline, you're part of it. And over time, it starts fading away. And then there's no real reason for the holders to show up and engage in communities on a daily basis, right? And the second problem that can lead to a lot of times is leaving a bit of an unhealthy environment in people's discords to where conversations become a little too much focused on floor price and less about the heart and soul of the projects, right? And then third, that created this place of just overwhelmed founders who have to deal with these things while also building the crazy roadmap and vision and everything that they're dealing with. And it's like, holy shit, like they're so overwhelmed and it's really hard for them. And just adding on to that, I've seen a lot of care for mental health and wellness in the space, but without a direct path of how to integrate that well. That's been something that's come up a lot, where you see many mental health channels in Discords, but there's not the proper time, personnel, expertise, facilitation, community bonding to create a really like special experience there. And I've been noticing these things, and I'm like, we have so much firepower and ammo from our existing company and brands that we can bridge over to the space. And there's been we've seen many Web2 brands try to come in, but the ones that are successful have been the ones who do it really natively and who do it through the network effects that are already built. And to me, that's a huge underrepresented part of this space, is people who already have their 5-year roadmaps built because they started 5 years ago and they have all these products, and they can creatively think of integration with communities that isn't, hey, here's a product, here you go, figure it out, but rather weaving their experience into communities and ecosystems. And that's exactly what we're doing. And those problems that I brought up earlier, we created this solution for other NFT communities, which we're partnering with you guys on. And I'm so honored. Where we get to come in and create a daily wellness challenge channel in all these Discords. And now, instead of it being a dormant channel, it's an experience. And we lead it from our side day after day after day. And we build community, and we build that community feel within these other projects. And it's become something where, instead of us fighting for market share from the hundreds of PFP projects out there, we become the backbone, and we support and empower these guys, and they get to pay us as a service for running that for them. So we're generating revenue not through just our secondary sales, but there's an actual business there. So that piece has been really interesting for us as a project, because it, like, to me, that's long-term brand building. If I'm in all of these communities and doing a great job and creating wellness challenges where you build habits with your community members together and you get rewarded for it, which I'll get to in a minute, it creates this premise of like a really exciting outlet that I think everybody gets to win together. So that's been a big piece of our vision, and like thinking of just strategically how to do this. So I want to go on a little more.
Yeah, no, please keep
going.
I think, I mean, the only thing I would add is like, it makes so much sense when you talk about it, just like adding real value. And I think in a way that's not just, dropping a PFP and leaving, you sort of like breathing life into other communities, showing them what you've known to work, all your experience in habit building and wellness, and really, taking that service and helping people. And as you mentioned, generating revenue, I think that's such an underrated component in like relying on secondary market sales to have a project survive is just so unsustainable and almost irresponsible at this point, I think. And for a business to really make it in this space, you need to be thinking about alternative revenue streams. And this is just a great one. So yeah, I'll let you finish.
Thank you. I mean, yeah, just to recap, like that's been our like partnership approach. It's not just like, hey, let's do allow lists and peace out. It's like, hey, let's become strategic partners with the best projects in the space. But now on the actual like NFT level, for owning a Phoenix NFT, what does that mean? So we're creating a model that I think is really interesting, where as our Web2 business grows and increases in sales, increases in brand exposure, everything, we're creating a rewards pool that isn't a direct token. It's going to be a gamified system to where people can earn rewards by using our mobile app. And our mobile app, we built a MetaMask and Phantom integration for. So if you're holding a Phoenix NFT, then every day you're using it and building better habits, you're eligible to win prizes from HabitNest's growth. So that's like the first piece. Awesome. But the second is, if you're also holding one of our partners' tokens, they themselves are going to be creating a prize pool too. So if you have both a Phoenix and our partners' tokens, it doesn't cannibalize. We made it so it's really symbiotic, and you're able to earn rewards from both. So the bigger vision for this that I get really excited by is like, I'm just a competitive motherfucker, man. So I want to pit communities against each other and see who can do the best in wellness challenges. And we can create really cool rewards and prizes to say, hey, every entry from one of your community members will build towards this raffle where like we literally pay your project like 3 ETH, 5 ETH, 10 ETH if you guys win. And like it just incentivizes
So
like
great.
communities banding together. And because we're able to pull from our Web2 revenue, we're able to like build these incentives and create an event for the whole Web3 space to come together and compete. And by the way, my background, a big part of my background was on Solana as much as it was on ETH. And this is not something that has to be just on one chain. So that becomes really interesting too, is like pitting not just projects against each other, but chains against each other. Because we all know the ETH maxis and Solana maxis go to war, and it's like
Microsoft.
Apple versus
Android,
Android. Yeah, and Microsoft.
This is an ETH Maxi podcast, by the way.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I have Solana. I think maximalism is bad, but certainly I am more slanted towards ETH. But I think that's amazing. And like you mentioned, like the whole competitive nature, and obviously that's fun. But at the end of the day, everyone wins as well. Like even if you don't win the challenge, if your community doesn't come first or second, you've just spent a month building habits, and it's like that's a win. So I love it. It's great.
Yeah. My first thought, because I'm a cynical fucker, so the first thought that comes to my mind is like, can the system be gamed? And because one, we're token gating things, that already is a barrier. But two, we have 8 months of user data and how specifically people are using this in specific ways. And there's something called AI and machine learning that can help bypass a ton of shit. So I'll leave it at that. But like, I love thinking of these issues to address because they're so important.
Yeah, if there's a way to game the system, someone's going to try and figure it out, and it's like an arms race that is like it's like back and forth.
And my goal is not to prevent that 100%, but it's to make that harder and harder, and especially when the rewards aren't dollar based, but rather raffle based, entry based, experience based. That changes the game. So all thoughts that I really like thinking about, because I want to be here 3, 5, 10 years from now and build this really practically and build it to scale.
I love it. So let's talk about the drop. The Phoenixes, they're dropping August 23rd, I think you said. What does that look like? How many? Mint price? How is the how are you distributing them in like terms of mint list, public auction, public sale, et cetera, et cetera? What are the details there?
Cool. So our mint is August 23rd for our pre-sale, which runs 24 hours. And for the exact mint price and supply, we're watching the market because it's really important to me that we build more demand than supply at our mint price and total collection size. So
that's really smart.
I want to wait and probably announce that like maybe a couple days, 3 to 5 days before our mint, and also have an idea of what ETH's dollar price is. But the idea and something that comes with all of our Phoenix NFTs is our Habit Nest app is a paid subscription for $70 a year. So if you own a Phoenix NFT, we're granting lifetime access to that.
That's amazing.
So that's already if you put that at a 4x multiple of the annual fee, it's like a $280 value. But the idea is like these people wouldn't be app subscribe. Most Web3 people wouldn't subscribe to the app anyways. So we're able to like discount that and make it make sense. And also, as we grow demand for our app and as Web3 and NFTs become more mainstream, there's just going to be ongoing demand towards our NFTs, which is what I really care about. And in the same way also of like, one of the hardest things is capturing attention in the space. And what we're really valuing is being the backbone of these different Web3 communities. Because if we're there every day and facilitating a service with their most hardcore holders who are active in Discord every day, that's really good long-term brand, especially if those guys would win if they held our Phoenix. So the idea is to continue partnerships, continue growth and value, and on the long tail, have it come back to us, even if we're not making tons of money on these partnerships just out of the gate. Like I'm viewing this from a 1, 3, 5 year window. So we're going to play around with these levers of attention and revenue generation and just see what makes sense and do it in an iterative way instead of like guessing. We figured everything out. Like I'm very step by step.
Yeah, it's clear that you're thinking long term and you're focusing a lot on building a brand, or rather, you've already got the brand, but like expanding the brand.
No, but building it in
Web3
yeah,
and making it just have a good reputation and known as something that helps people and delivers value. And you know, I think that's such a smart approach and a way that will, again, like, you know, the numbers don't lie. You said $70 a year for the app subscription. This gives you lifetime access. You know, if things go the way that I'm pretty sure that they will, and I'm sure you're pretty sure that they will, and you know things continue to do well, and more people use the app, and then more people become aware of NFTs, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, I'm a dummy paying $70. I could just go and buy this for, you know, I'm going to be using this for 10 years, and bam, and then all these other benefits are there, and you know, maybe in the future you know, inflation is real. You know, you probably in 5 years it's probably not going to cost $70 a year. It might cost $150 a year or whatever it is, and you've still got lifetime access. So I think that's amazing. I'd be curious to know. You already have people using the app. Are you trying to market this to them, or is this like, are you trying to onboard those people into the Web3 space? Because I know how difficult it is to do that, and it's really is a tricky piece. Yeah. Or is this like you're really trying to be very Web3 native and then maybe do that in the future?
So yeah, the answer is yes. We are focusing on those and doing it in two ways. So the first way is just through an immediate push to our email list and pushing those guys to come over. But the conversion rate on that is going to be like, I don't know.
It's going to be low. That's people see NFT and they're like, ah.
Well, I want to just like story tell this, because I was like, I have no clue what's going to happen. We have maybe 100,000 people on our email list, and those were our customers, not just sign-ups.
That's huge.
So right great base to have. Huge. Great base to have. So we announced we're doing an NFT like 2-3 months ago, and I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen, guys. I'm really scared.
Yeah. Honestly, like there's a lot of public backlash, and some people are very vocally against. It's hard to know if it's like a vocal minority. I think it is, but people do hate it. Some people hate NFTs.
What do you think the reaction was if you had to gauge positive versus negative percentage-wise?
Oh wow! So do you know? Like,
I know, and I'll tell you, but I just want to hear what your guess is.
So it's different. Like, so much of it is dependent on the trust that the community would have in you as a founder. And so, you know, if a big brand that was faceless corporation did it, I'm sure the hate would be a lot more. I think my guess is that people know you, know the brand, trust it, love it, and think it's because you're putting it out there, it's largely going to be positive. I'm going to say like 90-10 in terms of positive to...
Dude, you nailed it. Wow. You're a genius. Jesus. I mean, it was literally that. And I'd say that I'm measuring positive through curiosity, because these guys were all like, whoa, like what is going on? What is an NFT?
Lifetime access?
Tell me more. I've heard of this. Yeah. And I knew by like bridging our language for our app and lifetime access and like habit building and everything to there, it would be a good hook. But it was exactly that. Awesome. And the 10% were, you know, like some vehemently negative, some like you're killing the environment, you know, like traditional NFT downsides. But I was like really happy to see that. So that's the first piece, is like this initial blast, and I'm gonna do one-on-one calls to onboard people, make a MetaMask with them on a live Zoom. Like, I want them in, because those are gonna be diehard supporters. Like your first NFT, you're always a special thing for. So that's the first piece. And the second piece is, hey, we're selling hundreds of new things a day on the physical end, on app subscriptions, everything. So it's this funnel of customers that we can then take and convert to an NFT customer over time and have them be a diehard brand supporter. So building out that funnel to educate people on an ongoing basis and show them what we have and show them how it works. And one-on-one, literally, I'll handhold every fucking person to come. Like, that's really interesting, because I think it could be powerful.
So powerful. And that will, like you said, like if it's their first NFT, this is something I think Gary Vee did, and we'll get into sort of your relationship with him in a minute.
It was my first.
Yeah, there you go. When VeeFriends came out in, I think it was like March last year, around then, It was he did so much and created so much material, like guides for how to set up a MetaMask step by step, do this, videos, and onboarded so many people into the space. And he still is. He's honestly had probably more of a positive impact on NFTs than almost any person. And yeah, so I think it's such a great approach. Yeah, I'd love if you could just go into a little bit about your relationship with him, because I think you have a really fascinating backstory.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I was a big Gary fan for a while, and I realized with our journals, our expertise is pairing the best content in the world into a systemized structure that helps you take action. And Gary kept saying, I think his words exactly were like, 98% of you fuckers never take action on what I tell you.
Sounds about
right. And I kept hearing that, and I'm like, I think I can help here. So I sat and I wrote a 250-page journal prototype for Gary. And this is like version 3 of the prototype. Yeah. And the idea was to take a Habit Nest journal format and apply it to his content. So I wrote this whole thing, and it walks through all of Gary's ideologies.
That's amazing.
And I wrote action steps and designs and this whole intricate system for building out his ideas into your own life, basically. And dude, he's impossible to get in touch with. I'm like, I have to show him this. Like, I just see the value so much. And I sent prototypes to his office. I had calls with his team. His team ghosted me because they're so busy. Like, I'm not kidding. 600 touch points to try to get in touch. Daily, I followed all his people, post notifications. I tweet every day. It was insane. But I ended up sneaking backstage when he was speaking at USC and waiting in that green room. I like somehow was like friends with my professor. I'm like, yo, please, just give me like 30 seconds with this guy. And he walks in and I grab him. I'm like, Gary, I love you, man. I'm like, I'm here to solve one of your biggest problems. And I hand him the prototype and I open it up. And I'm showing him step by step how everything is formatted, how it's structured, how I took all his ideas and created this whole system. And there was this really cool moment. Well, he had to leave because he had to go and actually give his keynote. But there was a clip that he uploaded from his actual keynote when I went to ask him a question an hour later. I'll show you right now.
Let's share it with.
So I have a question for you.
By the way, this dude gave me a book that is like literally the textbook of my brain. I've literally not stopped thinking about it, and like literally have done this entire interview, kissed that dude, did everything, and still have not been able to comprehend that I've never seen my thoughts in textbook form, and you just handed it to me in that room an hour ago, and I'm freaking the fuck out because I genuinely think we're gonna put it out.
I think so too. I think it's gonna bridge the gap between your content and people contextually.
I agree. I'm very capable at the macro, but the reason I couldn't get into a school like this is I'm not interested in the micro. You put it into the micro.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's amazing.
You,
what a wonderful clip. And yeah, so like, what happened next after that?
So long story short, I ended up, he's like, Mikey, I need a 2-hour meeting with this kid in New York City. And I flew there back and forth a couple times, met his whole team. And long story short, built relationships with him and all of them, and worked for 2 years on like the basis of what then grew into 12 and a half, his whole workbook.
So you are the reason I have 512 and a half in my basement. Space. That's a ton of
I don't know if I'm going to take all the credit because Gary and his team were like incredible, but like it was really cool, man. He mentions me in Habit Nest in the book specifically, and like we just built this relationship that it was amazing. I saw him in VCon, and he just looks at me. He's like, "I'm so happy you're here."
That's awesome.
And it was. He's like, Mikey, I always have time for you. So I think I really view things on like 30-year viewpoints, and this was an incredible start, but it just showed me like, damn, I can really bring value to many people. And if this was Gary's reaction, he's like, go, then like it gets me really excited to do this in other creative ways whether that's for other projects, other content creators. Like, I just want to bring so much value in a practical way.
I love it.
And that's kind of like the backbone of the Phoenixes and what I want to build out here. So it's been really exciting.
I love it so much. It's, yeah, you know, it is so clear just, you know, my entire thesis in life, and especially in the space, is betting on people. And, you know, at the heart of it is like, why do you love Ethereum? I love Vitalik. And then, you know, everything he built, and then you remove him, Ethereum is obviously still solid and great. And then projects, specific people, and, you know, Gary and VFriends, great person to bet on. And now you, it's like, it's clear as day. Yeah. It's just like, you know, you will...
You're putting me in that basket?
Yeah, it's you with Vitalik and Gary. No, obviously, like, genuinely, it's clear that you are going to do everything it takes, and you have the ability and the drive and the passion and the connections and the expertise to make everything a success that you put your mind to. And I have no doubt that Phoenixes is going to be a success because Habitness is a success and because you are a success. So that's just, yeah, it's awesome. It's clear as day to me. So... yeah, I can't wait to see what you do. Yeah, 1, 3, 5, 10 years out. Maybe we'll end with this. Like, where do you see things in 5 to 10 years for your NFT presence, or just like holistically? Where do you think things will be for Habitness and Phoenixes in 5, 10 years?
Yeah, I think there's two core parts of this vision. The first is becoming the backbone of wellness in this space. And being integrated with all these incredible communities gives us this access to add value over and over. And that will compound in 3-5 years in a crazy way. I don't know where it will go, but all I know is if I'm there and doing something meaningful with people, it will come back to us in that time. So who knows if that'll be in the metaverse. We'll have our own wellness suite in the metaverse, or if that'll be like actual tools that we continue building out that benefit projects on a practical level. Like, it could go in so many directions, but that's really exciting. And then the second piece of like our vision is we're creating a roadmap and a blueprint for Web2 businesses to enter the Web3 space and to do it, fingers crossed, successfully. And by paving that road strategically, creatively, like, I've been so dialed into the space, I feel every fiber of it in my being, that I think that really sets the proper tone for someone coming in and not just dropping a random NFT as a money grab, but to also think creatively with all the assets they have built. How can they leverage the tech of an NFT and the communities of NFTs to level that up? Because when you mix those worlds and continue adding value over and over, it comes back to you, and you're able. Right now it's a monopoly. Like, nobody is doing what we're doing. And that's why my heart's on fire. I'm like, let's fucking go. Let's get every project. Like, I want to dominate this space and do it by bringing more value than I'm taking, because I'll just have market share. And I think that's so not talked about, because no one is thinking of this. Everyone's dealing with what's there, and people aren't looking forward. And you have to balance, because it's a risk. This was a risk for us. But it just feels so right for the reward that can come if we execute properly.
I love it. You know, something you said there about the blueprint for Web2 companies coming into Web3. I think that is something, it's so important, and it's something that, you know, we haven't really seen yet. Or like, we've seen, like, obviously a lot of companies have come in, some have done it better than others, but it's not really been figured out to like what is the best way and how to do it. And I think that you know, the best way is obviously it's going to be tailored towards the Web2 company and different approaches. But I think what you're doing is being creative and finding a way that's Web3 native. And I think hopefully, you know, once people see what you've done and how it worked, you'll be able to apply that to other companies. And maybe you end up advising, consulting, working with other companies, like bringing them into the space and working with Habitnest. And yeah, there's so much potential, and I can see it. It's very, very exciting. All right, so... yeah, I could talk to you for hours, like, honestly, really, but we do have to wrap this up, unfortunately. What's the best place for people who want to find out more about you, Habitnest, Phoenixes, important links, etc., etc.? Share your stuff.
Yeah, I will. I mean, the best place for the project itself is the Phoenixes NFT. Phoenixes is spelled Phoenixes. I
always get the E and the O back. Like, it's so true. We'll have the link down below. So yeah. Yeah.
We'll have the link down below. And then in there has our Discord link and our website, which showcases our art. Dude, our art is really cool. I'm pissed I never get to talk about it, but it looks very like out of Disney. And we have a 65-page lore document. Like there's stuff I never get to talk about.
Is that lore document public, or is that
building
what you've got and you're just drip feeding bits?
It's internal, and it's just like a scattered text doc. So we're gonna like make it beautiful and like story tell it. But it's sick, dude. There's a reason phoenixes don't have wings. We're building a whole world around this that will be part of what we build for the coming years. But sorry to get sidetracked. I just get excited. So yeah, the Phoenixes NFT on Twitter. Discord link is in there, and then my Twitter is @HabitNest. Like I'm just running HabitNest's previously Web2 Twitter. That's now Web3ified. And our website habitnest.com, or if you want to get our journals, go into Amazon, type in Habit Nest and look at our reviews, because our reviews are sick. They're all 4.5 star and above. And you could get an actual look. The App Store too, Habit Nest.
Beautiful. Everywhere. Yeah, we'll have all the links below. And yeah, thank you so much. I'm bullish on you, honestly. I really, really am. And I wish you all the best. And we'll definitely have you back on.
Oh, that means a lot.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks.